We're back with another Smart Driving Cars podcast. Thanks for joining us. This edition is sponsored by the Smart ETF's Smart Transportation and Technology ETF, symbol MOTO. For more information, head to motoetf.com. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alain.
Hey, good morning, Fred.
Good morning, and we are happy to welcome Dr. Michel Parent, scientific advisor and founding member of SuburVan, based in Paris. Thanks for being here with us, Michel.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a bit late for me, but no, it's still daytime in Paris.
Very nice to have you, Michel. And
Thank
sorry
you.
you're not here in Princeton for the summit. Nice of you to join in yesterday.
And I'm sorry we're not in Paris, but that's another story. Well, to begin with, Michel, give us a little background about this startup called SuburVan.
Suburban is something that came out of my previous work as a researcher when I was working with INRIA, which is the National Research Institute in Computer Science and Automation in Paris. I've been working there for, well, almost 25 years, developing automated vehicle and new mobility, especially new mobility. So we decided with a few friends from this research group that it is now time to put something on the market. We think that the demand is there, especially with the very, very big push that we have nowadays on eco-mobility. The demand is there, and the technology is just starting to be there, available for some of these new mobility services. So we have focused because we know about the mobility, and we know also about the kind of services that can be met by the technology. So we are focusing on something that I'm sure Alain will love. We want to focus on those folks in the suburbs of large cities that have bad public transportation.
I agree. I mean, it's amazing. Somebody else wants to recognize that there are those people out there, even in France, in the suburb of Paris, really?
Yes, well, in my research lab, we are in the suburb of Paris. Well, if you want to go to Paris or to go from Paris to the research lab, it takes about 1 hour and a half by public transportation, and about the same time also by car during rush hours. So this is very bad. Whereas we have a train station very close by, only three miles away from the research institute. We have a nice train station, and we can go from this train station to downtown Paris in 25 minutes. So the idea is, how do we get to the train station? When I started doing this kind of research work, we said, well, the first thing we can do is to provide station cars, self-serve cars available on demand. But now we think it's possible to have an autonomous mobility service using minivans, shared minivans, because since we want to bring the people to the train station, it's probably for a particular train. So we can put several people on board for this particular train. From this train station next to our institute to go to Paris, we have trains going every 20 minutes to Paris. So we just have to focus on these trains during rush hour. Off rush hour, well, we can do on-demand service with one at a time, but it will be more expensive, of course. But we think we can focus in many, many places, and we have looked at many, many places in France and abroad where people do not have good transportation, okay? And they have to use, therefore, their own car. They have to use their own car and get stuck in the traffic for hours, okay? So we are focusing on this trip, like a 10-kilometer trip from your home or your job to the train station. So back and forth, of course.
And this is a venture that you just started last year, I understand. Where are you today, and how quickly do you think you can have a service like this running?
Well, we've been thinking about this kind of service for a long time, but we started the company only last October, and we got some crowdfunding to start the company, and we will have a second round of investment probably in the spring to really kickstart a very good research group to put all the technology on board of these vehicles. And we have teamed up with a number of companies and with people who can deliver the van. The idea is to use existing cars available on the market, electric cars, of course, because we want to be clean. But I think we can have now, like many people have done actually in the States, we can take a regular van and make it autonomous, completely autonomous. I'm not talking about, of course, level 3. I'm talking about level 4. But level 4 in a very particular ODD. And we are going to certify this vehicle on these very specific ODDs. When I say specific, it's really on a particular trip. Okay, it's not just kind of section of town, but just really on a particular trip, because we think it will be possible to certify our transportation system on this particular trip, but not everywhere. I don't think at the moment, I don't think it's possible to certify just a vehicle, an autonomous vehicle. We have to certify a vehicle on a particular trip.
I could not agree more. It is fundamental. This, first of all, so-called level 5 doesn't exist, will never exist, whatever. I mean, it's just goofy. I hate the Society of Automotive Engineers for even suggesting it. I mean, come on, get out of here. It must be. And in fact, the argument with the ODD is, in fact, these vehicles are not owned by us, which would like to go anywhere. They are owned, operated by a fleet manager who knows where the many to one points are, has all the information they could ever want on the roads and the intersections that connect that, which is not all roads, not all intersections. And if one should somehow have construction, well, they'll either route around it, deal with it, or maybe not offer the service anymore. Okay. And that's the definition of that. We had a big snowstorm here in Princeton, a few days ago.
Heard about it.
Guess what?
I've heard about it.
Guess what? The ODD of my car, my goodness, the salesperson that when I bought it said I could drive anywhere. I couldn't drive anywhere on Monday. Okay, because I couldn't get it out of the darn my driveway. Okay, and the road wasn't shoveled. So come on, get out of here with this everywhere. And any winter. Are you kidding?
So, Alain, some folks who are listening or watching may not be as familiar with the terminology here. So, explain what you're talking about with ODD.
Well, the ODD is just a definition of where it can go safely.
The operational design domain, right?
The operational design domain. It can go from here to there over these roads, and whatever it's done it knows it, no problem, whatever. And if there's fog, what should we do when there's fog? Stop. Don't drive in fog. We're not done. This isn't to try to solve the fog problem. This isn't to try to solve the heavy snow problem, mobility problem. This is to try to provide high quality mobility to folks most of the time. Let's do that first. Then we can maybe try to deal with the fog problem. I mean,
Michel, how soon do you expect to have vehicles in operation, and what's the process for you, even going into the communities and gaining community acceptance ahead of time, which is sometimes crucial.
We already have community acceptance because we have tested the community since a long time ago. We have done a very large number of demonstration of automated shuttles in cities since the early 90s. So we know about cities, we know what they want, we know about what people want. We know that people, for example, are not afraid of getting into an autonomous vehicle as long as it feels safe. And for the long time, actually, our vehicles were running fairly slowly. And if you look at the autonomous shuttles that are on the market now, mostly they on the most of these vehicles are French, by the way, and they are issued from our work. They run at maybe 20 miles maximum because that's easy. That's much easier to make it safe. But we know that we can go a little bit further, and actually many people have demonstrated that. Just to think about Waymo, in specific ODDs, you can probably run at 60 kilometers per hour. Sorry about the miles. I think it's around 40. Actually, the biggest problem, the biggest hurdle at the moment will be the certification. How do we certify that these vehicles are safe? And in Europe, we have a very strict certification procedure. It's not completely finished at the moment, but it is in progress. We have companies that are certifying level 2 vehicle, for example, and they are working on certifying automated shuttle, and they are working also on level 3 in very specific ODDs. For example, at the moment, they will limit the certification at 60 kilometers per hour, not above, okay? So you will be able very soon, actually you can probably already do it now, buy a car that does the lane keeping and distance keeping at 60 kilometers per hour. So you can do something else on the highway if you are in a traffic jam. Okay, so that's available. But what we are looking at is not driving assistant, it is fully driving autonomously so that we can provide a service for these people who do not have access to good public transportation. So we need to have a fully autonomous system, otherwise it's too expensive. We don't want to have someone on board to just watch the vehicle and take over if needed. We don't want that. We will probably need somebody doing the overall control of the vehicle, of a fleet of vehicles, actually. But we want to have something that runs very efficiently at a good speed, not 20 kilometers per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. We want to be able to do 60 kilometers per hour at the beginning. Later on, we want to be able to run at a normal speed. Actually, the road in front of our institute is limited at 90 kilometers per hour. But in the morning at traffic jam, it's barely at 30 kilometers per hour. So we think it will be very simple to run autonomously in the traffic without getting people mad at us because we run too slowly. So the biggest hurdle that we have to face right now is to prepare for the certification. And the certification will probably be available by 2022, by the end of 2022. So we want to be ready to deploy in 2022, at the end of 2022, early 2023. So that's how we are focusing our development. And we think it's fairly easy for us to put everything on board, to be ready, with all the technology ready, and to have the technology certified, hardware and software.
Well, Michel, I think your approach is correct, and I think your focus is correct. Your focus being This isn't for central Paris. This isn't for San Francisco downtown.
No, we don't need autonomous vehicle for places where you have good public transportation.
I think I said that yesterday.
That's a mistake. It's a big
I mean,
mistake.
what we need another way to go so that we can just whatever. But in these communities, in these smaller communities, I suspect that from your institute, there are other roads that have speed limits that are 60 kilometers per hour instead of 90. I think, if you want to go fast, go buy your Ferrari, okay? Leave us alone. Go to Germany, run it on the Autobahn, have a ball. I mean, most of the things that places that one wants to go and to be able to access these other good transportation locations are really not that far away. That 60 kilometers an hour is really a quite good pace. You don't really need to go faster than that. Plus, when you're there, you can be on your phone anyway, doing whatever the heck other things you want to do. So there's really no need to go fast. So the go fast, I don't think. Being able to get there when you want to get there, 24/7, as long as there's no snow, fog, or inclement weather. To me, that's a much better service proposition to be putting out there that I think will be appreciated. And of course, I think what you focused on is the many-to-one trips.
Exactly.
That one could be a train station. It could be a synagogue. It could be a ballpark. It could be a school. My goodness, school children, they shouldn't have good transportation to school. They should sit in school buses.
They should bike.
I mean, how ridiculous. I can't be too cynical enough. But there are many of these places. And in fact, the opportunities to share rides, which is why you want a van and you really want to share rides. Why? Because that makes it even more affordable and better. And is not going to the train station, coming from the train station. Because you have this big train dumping a bunch of people all at the same time. Guess what? You only want to go relatively few places. So you have all kinds of opportunities to share rides if you make it easy and trivial for them to just hop on. And so, yes, I think that is the right focus. It's kind of where I would like to see the developments go in the U.S. instead of this downtown San Francisco, like ridiculous. Cut it out. Maybe LA might be okay because there is no downtown, but certainly Manhattan isn't anywhere where any of this stuff would go. And kind of the same arguments I made for Trenton being such a good place to do these kinds of things. This is where people who don't have the mobility, who could really benefit by having a good way to get from A to B, could actually improve their quality of life as opposed to giving it to a bunch of people that already have great mobility. And this is not just one of a whole list of things that they can't figure out which one's on top. So all those things exist.
Right. So if you're able to get the vehicles on the road at the end of next year, are your plans, your hopes anyway, to scale this and move to a great many communities over time?
Of course, yeah. We are actually, our target just for France is 18 million people who take their car every day. So this is our target. This is just for France. So yeah. It's a huge market. It's a huge market.
Yeah, there's only one Paris, and maybe one Lyon or whatever. And
no, but it's not.
There are all these suburbs, all these other places around, aren't there? They're all over the darn place, all the villages, right?
Right, absolutely. No, we are working with other cities like La Rochelle, where we did our first demonstration of automated shuttles, and we are working with the city of Nîmes, with the city of Sophia Antipolis near Nice. We have many cities working with us now on the specific plans for implementing these services. And they have the demand. They have a very strong demand because they want to reduce the congestion, they want to lower the emissions, and they want to provide a service for the people who do not have access to a good transportation. So we have a
And
huge
as you mentioned, Michel, I mean, you've been doing this, even though SuburVan is new. You've been doing this for 30 years. I mean, what was what was the technology?
exactly, yes, 30 years, 30 years. Actually, I did my first project on autonomous vehicle was in 1986 with the French Army. Of course, that's always starts with the Army. But from the early 1990s, I worked on new mobility services. And the first system that we deployed and tested was a self-service vehicle, electric vehicle that were on demand, were available as a free floating services. Okay, people could pick them up anywhere and drop them off another place. And we had identified that the biggest problem for these, how do you call them, these vehicles that are available on demand?
Zip car.
Zip car, yeah. Well, that's
Zip cars. That in the US, that's one of the.
In 91, we developed a similar service outside of Paris with Renault, with electric cars from Renault. But we identified one of the big problems is to move the cars where they were needed. Okay,
the empty vehicle repositioning problem.
Vehicle repositioning. So we developed at INRIA a platooning technique that worked very, very well. Actually, we had a fantastic technology that was patented using a vision system, a high-speed vision system, and very high-speed control technology. So we are able to form trains of electric vehicle that we used with only a gap of 0.3 seconds between two vehicles. Any speed. We went up to 90 kilometers per hour, and we could do a hard braking without jamming the train. So we developed this kind of technology, and then we moved on to innovative vehicle. We designed what was called the SciCab. It was a very, very tiny vehicle in 1996, which was a vehicle that you could drive with a joystick, or that you could put in a platoon, or that you could put in a fully autonomous mode on particular tracks. So you see that dates back from quite a long time.
Yeah, no, we played with this for a long time, right, Michel?
Yeah, we are the old timers.
We are. Yeah, as Bobby Hamrick said to me, you're the grandfather of this. Oh man, what
I've been called
Bobby. What an insult.
I've been also called a grandfather.
Oh, geez.
But it's coming. It's finally coming. I thought it would come sooner, but it's finally coming. And it's finally coming because people want it, and not just the citizen, but the municipalities, the states, they want something better than the existing transportation system, which is mostly based on individual car with just one person on board, which is ridiculous.
Well, the technology, and as you mentioned before, electric vehicles, the compute power, it's all coming together.
Exactly. And it is becoming cheap and certifiable. We can certify now these hardware.
Yeah, no, and the problem was really very hard and remains very hard, and it requires an awful lot of work and capabilities, and it has taken this long. It isn't really just
the problem indeed is very, very hard. It is very hard to drive as well as a good driver. Okay, of course, drivers make mistakes that computers do not make, but on the other hand, drivers can take you out of a tricky situation that the computer doesn't know how to do.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to prove at the moment that in this very difficult situation, the computer does a better job than the human. I think it is not possible. I think at the moment, the human does better than the computer in this tricky situation.
The way I state that is that everybody is a really, really good driver. Really good driver.
Because we're intelligent. We can.
We're intelligent, and what goes on up here, forget the AI. It's nowhere close.
No, it's not enough. It's not enough.
However, our problem is we misbehave.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
misbehave.
Oh, we do.
Well, not you. I'm,
No, we all do.
I'm Fred,
We all do.
but we misbehave. And it's the misbehavior that gets us into trouble. And these things won't misbehave, or
Yeah.
certainly not misbehave to the extent that we misbehave. And that's where the value is.
Absolutely.
That's what, so to say it has to be better than us when we're sitting there totally focused and put all this horsepower into what we're doing, forget about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you,
Because
last year, coming back from vacation, well, for the first time in my life, I fell asleep on the wheel. But fortunately, I had a co-pilot. My wife was next to me, and she woke me up. Hey, what are you doing? So you see, we all misbehave.
Well, the technology, and we've talked about it before, exists today that the vehicle could be watching you
Yeah.
and know,
Yeah.
the lane keeping, et cetera, but also alert you to wake you up if that
Exactly.
were to happen. It should be deployed.
yeah,
Yes.
but Fred, that's driver assistance, and that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're
If
not
we have to
talking about
put an
driver
attendant
assistance.
or a driver in the service that Michel's talking about, then it can't be affordable. It's not sustainable. It requires, communists that support it or something, a society or whatever, it's unaffordable. It's just not a business. The way to make it a business is to take the darn human labor out of it. And the way a personal car is affordable today is because we drive it for free.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow we had to charge ourselves for the amount of time and effort we spend to drive it. We couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford it.
Mhm.
And so, that's who we're replacing, us.
Right.
The drivers to drive, they'll still have plenty of things to drive. The professional drivers, I'm not worried about them. They're going to be plenty of jobs. Hey, let's make their life in their vehicles a heck of a lot safer, a heck of a lot more pleasant, so that they can not go crazy trying to just feed their families, 10 hours a day driving. Can you imagine? 10 hours a day to feed your family? I couldn't do it. I know I couldn't do it. And we're making these folks out there to do that and not providing them with a lot to help them drive. We have to do that one too, Michel.
Absolutely. And we'll be back with more. But first, this is a good time to remind you about our sponsor, the Smart ETF's Smart Transportation and Technology ETF, symbol MOTO. To get more info, head to motoetf.com. On the website, look for the white paper. It's called the Smart Transportation Revolution. It's under the Insights and News tab. Lots of great information to help you make informed decisions about investing. ETFs, as you may know, can be a smart way to spread risk with investments and focus on a particular category of stocks. The site, once again, is motoetf.com. Alain, some headlines to touch on this week, and we welcome your participation here too, Michel. From the Los Angeles Times and our friend Russ Mitchell, there's a headline reading, Trump left a massive traffic safety mess for Biden. Item 1, Tesla's self-driving claims.
Yes, of course, and all the hype and so on, and sort of misuse of words and so on basically has to stop. I think we have to be very careful on how we speak and what the implications of what we have out there. The Tesla system is really very good. But you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention, and there's no way this is fool anything except fooling you, FOOL. And until Elon decides to say, hey, if anything bad happens when it's being used, it's my responsibility. I'll take care of it. I'll make you whole on it. until he's ready to do that, he's not putting any anything out there. So, let's get real and okay, you used it to get to where you are. It's very good. Glad to hear it and whatever, but come on, be real.
Transit bus maker New Flyer has partnered with Robotic Research to create a self-driving transit bus. Alan, in the newsletter, you are praising the effort, but not when they label it level 4.
Yeah, I mean, what do they want to be? Elon Musk too? I mean, come on, that's not a level 4 bus. It's that, they're not going to pull the driver out of that bus. Why would you pull a driver out of a bus that can carry 50 people? You need a bus that big and you have 50 people. You have plenty of people to pitch in to pay for a living wage for the driver. That's not what it's for. Come on. I mean, plus, you can't go to any transit system and suggest that you're going to have driverless vehicles. There's a transit union there. Okay, guess what they're going to do?
Our friend Michael Senna. We're getting you to speak up there. There we go. Our friend Michael Senna has a new edition of the Dispatcher out with the lead article taking a critical look at how the driverless car problem is being addressed. Another great edition.
Yeah, another great edition, and I think yes, he's rather critical on the driverless car approaches. We don't necessarily share the same viewpoints, but that's fine. I mean, look, I think it's good for us to have a discussion and have this is looking into the future. The future's unknown. Which is really good about the future. It is unknown, as I like to say. It wouldn't be worth living it if we knew what was ahead of us in each day. It'd be totally boring. So anyway, yes, and he's such a good writer. So enjoy, everybody.
Roadshow is reporting that the VW Group is taking development of self-driving car technology in-house, foregoing partnerships, which kind of goes against the grain of what everyone else is doing out there.
Well, yeah, and it seems to be. I thought they had set agreements with everybody, so I don't know. Is that real or is that not real, or what's going on, or whatever? Or is there another group in VW? I don't know. I didn't put any credibility in that one either.
Well, Ford is saying it will more than double its investment in electric and autonomous vehicles to $29 billion through 2025. They've got an F-150 pickup truck due to have an electric version later this year. That's, I guess, their most popular vehicle, right?
Yeah, it is the most popular vehicle. I guess we'll see, whether or not, the electric version of that ends up, being successful in the marketplace. I guess they'll have to compete with Elon's whatever truck, which is out there. Everybody's worried about that one. A lot of other folks are coming out with the ability to haul stuff using electricity. Great, we'll be able to see that. I was looking more at the investment in autonomous or automated aspects of it, and the issue. I still feel that Ford remains committed to putting out their driverless mobility. The Argo effort is still a strong effort and remains a strong effort. And so, which is, a slightly different business model than, selling cars to us. I continue to believe there is no market for a driverless vehicle sold to individuals. I just don't think you can make that a market. First of all, I'm too irresponsible to have one. Therefore, you're going to have to put so much around me for me to own one. And for me to send one out to Michel, for Michel to go have a ride someplace, and for them to come back to me taking the responsibility of having this automated thing provide mobility to Michel while I'm not there. Really, how irresponsible would I be doing that? And if it really is going to do that, then there's going to be so much oversight by some entity on it, that such that I've said, the check engine light will never come off. I mean, I'll never be able. I mean, it will never be good enough. I don't think so. I don't. There's no market there, and why would I want something that I can't drive to own? Sure, I can put it up there next to my train or something like that, or whatever, and my neighbors will think, oh, he has one. I even have a bumper sticker on my car that says my other car it's driverless or something like that, whatever.
Michel, you were nodding your head in agreement here.
From the DARPA challenges, I did have one, but whatever.
Michel, do you want to jump in?
Well, I can only agree with Alain, because I don't know how I could use if my own car was driverless. That would be perhaps nice to go to on vacation and sleep during the trip, but I don't see that happening anyway. Now I love to have driving assistance on my car.
Yeah.
I think it's great because it can improve my safety. But having a fully driverless car, anyway, I don't see it happening because of the technology that will not be available for doing any trip, anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely agree with that. I mean, the driver assistance I love, okay, because it provides comfort and convenience to me, and I think it improves the safety. But probably more importantly, the comfort and convenience to me. I like that the steering wheel leads my hands as it's going around the corner, as opposed to me. I can override it. I like the fact that I don't have to worry about how fast I'm going because I set the damn speed limit. It doesn't have to be in my face on the overhead, whatever. It keeps me going there. And if I'm running up somebody's rear end, it will slow down and not let me do that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay? Personally. Okay. And it'd be nice if I could hop in the back seat and just whatever. But if it's good enough for me to hop in the back seat, then Michel is probably going to set up a service that will offer that to me, that will be a whole hell of a lot more attractive than me providing it for myself.
Well, as you've mentioned all along, Alan, the question of who's responsible, are the automakers or Elon Musk, are they going to take responsibility if they say it can drive itself?
Yeah, they'll have to take well, somebody's going to have to take responsibility. If it's out there giving Michel a ride and I'm not there, I'm responsible. Holy hell, if they have to take responsibility, they're going to they'll never put that on the market for me. And Michael Stradato is not going to sell me insurance. And it's just not going to happen. It's like Goofy. There's no substance to that market. It is, talk about a Ponzi scheme. I mean, it's not even a Ponzi scheme. It's nothing. There's no opportunity there.
Not going to happen.
Especially because Michel, with his fleet, is going to be able to offer me that same service, allow me to just ride in the back seat, because he's a responsible entity. He has the scale of a whole operation, and he can deliver that a heck of a lot cheaper, better, and whatever than I can deliver for myself, I think. And so when you have that competition, only he survives. I think it's the way it seems in my mind.
Sure. If you have something convenient and cheap, better, people will take it.
I think, I don't know. Why do I want hard and expensive? I mean, really, it's so much about me. If I want to brag to my neighbors, I'll find some other way to brag. I don't know.
Alan, it's more or less a holiday weekend coming up here in the U.S., Super Bowl weekend, which I don't know what they think of it in Paris there, Michel, but here in the U.S., even though the Steelers aren't in it this year, a lot of people will be watching, and GM is spending a bunch of money running a Super Bowl ad featuring Will Ferrell, designed to push the whole electric vehicle category. It focuses on how far ahead Norway is in per capita ownership of EVs. And I guess they're trying to push the whole category here, they're saying.
I guess, but nobody here knows. We don't even know where Norway is. Okay, first of all. Secondly, what
I think that's one of the points of the commercial.
yeah, well, of course, it's one of the points, but what they don't tell everybody is why is it that all these electric vehicles are being purchased in Norway? Is because it is so darn expensive to purchase an internal combustion equivalent car because of the taxes and the non-taxes and the whatever and the kickbacks and whatever and so on and goes on, that you'd be stupid to not buy an electric vehicle. Now, if you want the public sector to go in there and basically pay for it all, then sure, you get it. Now, maybe that's what GM really wants. Since GM says they're only going to produce electric vehicles, they better get Washington to go out there and make sure that those electric vehicles to the end customer are half the price of what an internal combustion engine car is. So I think that's a situation that exists in Norway. Now, whether or not in the commercial that actually shows up on Sunday, they actually explain that, I don't know, but you know, whatever. It's cute, but it's just like the cute ad that I forgot who it was last year put in. You know, with now your automated parking system, you can now squeeze your car into a parking spot between two cars in Boston. Okay, now talk about what?
That was the Smart Park commercial.
if I squeeze my car between two parked cars so that the people in those parked cars can't get in there, you know what's going to happen to my vehicle when they show up in Boston? Okay. I'm not going to have any fenders.
They're still advertising that, Alan.
I'm going to have 4 flat tires. I mean, you know, sure, let's use automation to make you socially irresponsible. Great, thank you. What a terrible commercial. I'm sorry.
Well, the Smart Driving Car Summit is continuing with live sessions every Thursday. Great one this week, noon Eastern time, live on Thursdays through the middle of April. The session this week was really terrific, Alan.
Yeah, this week on safety was really terrific, and Michel chimed in and came in with a question. I think this coming week is, to me, is what I'm looking to as really one of the highlights. I'm really concerned about how the decision is arrived to take the attendant out of the vehicle and provide this mobility, this affordable mobility without an attendant, the driverless piece. To me, that's a monumental risk and decision made by the CEO of the entity making it. Yes, it's nice if we have a whole host of check boxes that some regulatory agency said if you do this, you can. I'm not confident that those check boxes are going to be available so that if I check all the boxes and they certify me, then it's their problem or their responsibility, or they made me do it, or I can push off the risk. The way I see the risk existing in the United States right now with doing this is that in fact the entity that decides to pull the attendant out of it, they're responsible. And they're going to have to accept the responsibility, and they're going to have to accept that if anything bad happens. And that, to me, just so increases the pressure on the safety piece of it, and the pressure that, in fact, it does work. And you're not a loose cannon out there just, trying to rip off the public or whatever the other connotations are. And so there's a lot of arguments out there about how long it's taken Waymo to get out there and actually do it. Hey, so far, they're the only entity in the world that's done it in a really just, on public streets without, controls and making sure there are no children and no whatever. And so, non-trivial decision of accepting responsibility by a leader of an entity who wants to provide value to society. Non-trivial.
Absolutely. And again, it's Thursday at noon Eastern, live, and every Thursday through the middle of April. You can get more information about registering or even sponsorship at smartdrivingcar.com. Michel, we really want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and congratulations on all of the innovation for so many years and on what you're doing now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Okay, and I'll be glad to attend the next conference on Thursday.
Yeah, please do come in and join with us. Good luck. I think you're focused on the right thing to do right now. And hey, so far we spent all this money, we've done all this research, we've done all this development. How much value to society have we delivered yet? In the driver assistance, we're delivering some. That is really good. It is getting out there. People are buying it, and showrooms are selling it, and even the automakers are actually putting it and trying to make it work, as opposed to just smoke and mirrors. And so that's all good. But the driverless, we're still trying to get there.
Yep.
We want to thank our sponsor, the Smart ETF's Smart Transportation and Technology ETF. The ticker symbol again for the ETF is MOTO, and more information is available at motoetf.com. You can find us at smartdrivingcar.com, also on Anchor FM, Spotify, TuneIn, Apple, Google, Spreaker, SoundCloud, wherever you turn to for your podcast. You can find us on Amazon Music and Audible as well now. You can get your smart speaker to play us too. You can find my tech reports at techstination.com. I'm Fred Fishkin along with Alain Kornhauser. Thank you for listening or watching, and please continue to stay safe.
Thank you, and everybody trying to get vaccinated.